Hi Sahil, thank you so much for joining me for my very first podcast on my YouTube channel. So,
It's a pleasure.
so we have already worked with together. So we both are software engineers. We have common interests. So I thought maybe it would be a good topic for us. And sometimes I have also been asked by friend circles or random people on LinkedIn regarding life in Germany. So I thought maybe it would be nice because I am from Pakistan, you are from India, so we have a common or similar culture. So I thought maybe it would be a good topic. And then
Mm-hmm.
I have prepared a list of questions, and
Mm-hmm.
what we can do is I will raise those questions, and then you can share your perspective, I will share my perspective, and those questions are somehow may help audience in making an informed decision whether they if they are planning to come to Germany. Maybe these questions could help them in making a decision whether they should come or they should not. So yeah, this is the agenda or topic for a whole podcast. So before we start, I would like you to introduce yourself, please.
Yeah. So first, thank you for inviting me. I think this is a great initiative and a very nice way to inform people through our experiences. I am Sahil Nair, and me and Anas worked together um, for around 3 years, where I was in a part-time capacity, and Anas was a full-time employee, and I am in Germany for around since 2016. I did my bachelor's here, then I did my master's, and now I am working. I just started working as a full-time employee at SAP as a software developer. Um, yeah, that's pretty much about my background, and I hand it over back to you, Anas.
Thank you so much. Um, so yeah, let's start. So I can also shortly introduce myself. So my name is Anas, and I am also a software engineer, and my specialty is in backend part. And I am also working here in the same in different company as a full-time employee, and I am there around 6 or 7 years already. So yeah, so without further ado, let's proceed. So here is a agenda, Sahil. So there are different aspects of life in Germany. So I am mainly covering educational aspects and job, and then the final thought. So you have already been here maybe more than 8 years or something, and I am also there around 7 years. So
Mm-hmm.
maybe we have learned something throughout this period, and 8 years is a really a long journey. So maybe then we can conclude something based on our conversation. So that's the
Yeah.
goal. So yeah, let's proceed to the very first question. Why Germany? So
Yeah.
before I answer, so I would like you to answer why you specifically chosen Germany. Maybe there are other options for you when you were in India, for example Switzerland or sorry, Switzerland, not Switzerland, United States, or maybe Canada, Australia, because these are most popular destinations, or maybe Canada. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, you are right. So my reason was like also a bit personal. I think it is when you want to study abroad. It's a bit of I. It's a personal decision, I guess. In your own country, in India, for example, there are a lot of colleges to go to, but I wanted to study abroad, and then I shortlisted a lot of countries, as you mentioned, Canada, US, the UK. Did not focus on Australia or New Zealand, but I applied to Canada, US, and UK as well. And for a fact, when I was towards the last year of my schooling, I came across Germany, and that was when I learned that in Germany there is no tuition fees. So this was the biggest highlight for Germany for me. But there was this thing that you need to know German. So back in 2016, like 8 years ago, this was even a bigger hurdle. So it was not the most popular destination by far, and so you needed to know German. But then I went to the UK. I studied there 1 year. I first went to the UK. I was very divided between going to Germany and UK because at that time I did not have the language. And I went to the UK in Manchester. I did 1 year. And at that point, I realized probably I should make a change because the UK was very expensive. And I realized by the time, and also the job scenario like in the UK, in a year I figured out it's what it looks like from India. It's probably that it's a land of opportunity, great institutions, highly ranked, and all of that. But when I reached there, I realized yes, it is half truth. They are great institutions, but you end up paying a lot, much more than the local people, and at the end of it, they don't really like you don't really get that much consideration in jobs. It's much harder for you as an outsider to get a job. Now things have probably changed a little bit in the UK, can't say overall, but that was the case, and I decided, okay, I must change this. I cannot just keep spending money. So one thing that had helped me being in the UK was because in Germany, especially if you're coming for a bachelor, we will probably get to this, or right now also good time to say, you need a 13-year education. So if you're doing something like your A levels, then it's fine. But in India, for example, maybe in Pakistan also, we have a 12-year schooling system, and so you need to have a 13th year. So that 1 year that I did in the UK counted as my 13th year, and then I could start studying in Germany uh, in the university. So kind of you could say I had to repeat my first year. Um, yeah, so biggest reason for me was high class education alongside no tuition fees, affordable living, things that I could manage on my own rather than literally draining the, my parents' savings. So this was the biggest highlight for me for Germany, and of course, really like in engineering, it's been known, especially for in the car industry, for being very advanced in technology. So it was a very good option, all in all. That's why I chose Germany. And what about you, Anas?
Yeah, so definitely tuition fee is a primary reason for me as well. But another reason which drives me to Germany was student jobs. So if you are going to US or UK or Canada, you cannot work the same job and you have to do odd jobs. That was my understanding at that point in time. This means that
Yeah.
considering the education fee over there, you need to work twice or thrice, two or three jobs, and that's also odd jobs to compensate your expenses. And if you are studying and doing two or three jobs at the same time, it would be really stressful. So I was not
Yeah.
sure, and this student had this odd jobs, for example, I heard that we have to do waiting or whatever. So I don't like it, but the best part for Germany was that you can do a programming jobs, and you just have to do let's say only one job, and you can still manage your expenses. That was a really plus for me. So these were the two primary reasons that's why I chose Germany. And you're right that
Yeah.
language barrier could be something, but since I came here for my master's studies, so for me the program was in English, so okay, it was not that bad for me. So
Mhm.
yeah, so in general I think we have somehow similar or mutual decisions why we choose Germany. So um,
Yeah, you are right because in the US, even if you get like 100% scholarship or something, let's say, even then just living cost and everything are very expensive, and there is this clause usually that you can only do a job in the field that you're studying. So like you can't do like some job just to support yourself if you don't find like a job as an internship or something in your field. So it's more restrictive also. But whereas in Germany, you get 20 hours work, you can work 20 hours a week, no matter whatever it is. So there is more flexibility also, where you are right that you can do programming jobs, and that's good. But let's say you don't have that experience from the first semester to find a programming job or something, you can still uh, work other kinds of job, like in a restaurant or uh, I don't know, in the university itself. uh, then those things are quite nice opportunities to have in Germany.
Yeah, you're right. So there is another opportunity which is called Hiwi. I don't know what's the German abbreviation for it, but it's more where you are working closer to PhD guys and you are supporting their work. So it's mainly in the university as well, but it's still
Mhm.
not considered as an odd job, in my opinion.
Yeah,
So this is
yeah,
also a nice,
yeah, you're right.
and it's
It's actually I
mm,
would suggest that job to anybody who is struggling to find a job in a company, because that's how I got my job, where in Patagonia, where I started working like first. So before that, I was working a EV job as a developer in the university, and that's how I landed the working student job.
nice. Okay, so then let's do the next. Um, since you have done bachelor's as well as master, if I understand correctly, so there is always decision which you have to made whether to pursue the complete degree in English or in German. Since German itself is I find it really difficult to be honest, but when it comes to technical terms, let's say you have to study medicine or let's say engineering, there are some really
Mhm.
complex terms which you literally have to study, and that could may have impact your overall time period. Let's say your degree may have 4 years
Yeah.
for bachelor's or for master 2 years, but it's not like our in our country, like you complete in a timely manner because you have other things to do while you are studying, let's say laundry or
Mhm.
job or whatever. So typically it's really hard to complete your degree in time. So and
Yeah.
then on top of that you have to struggle with the language as well. So
Mhm.
how one should decide here? So what do you think if you choose directly? What are the pros and cons, I would say, in this area?
So this is a two-part question, as you have also like framed it. One is like, should you do a bachelor's or a master's? It is, I think, of course, if you are determined to go outside the country and you can, I would suggest you go for a bachelor's. It will be harder because you're coming like as somebody just out of a school, somebody just coming from their parents' home, somebody who's not no idea of taking care of themselves, going and doing anything, finding out a job or filling out a form or going to the government offices. It's challenging as coming for bachelor's,
So
but it is.
So,
Yeah.
sorry for interruption. So, you mean if a person is living in India or Pakistan, they can directly pursue for bachelor's? That's what you mean?
I lost you there for a bit.
Sorry.
Sorry.
Maybe, sorry. I mean, if a person is in India or Pakistan, did you mean that they can directly come for Pakistan? That's what you recommend. So, better is to do bachelor's in Germany, or what's your conclusion here?
So depends. Like if you want to, it is not, there is no, because I've done it and I can tell you, like, for example, my sister's doing a master's. If you come for a master's, learning the language is difficult. One, you usually older when you're coming for a master's. Second, as you already said, you're more mature. You're trying to do a lot of things on your own, and you have less time. And your degree is like, degree is right there. If you invest a lot of time in learning German, doing other things, your degree will get stretched out. And at that time, you have a kind of a pressure on yourself to find a job and start working. And because probably that's also one of the reasons that you have come so far, not just to study and go back, but to probably get some experience, start working or whatever. So to learning the language with masters, I think is much more difficult. in my experience. If I had to do it personally, I would also find it same level difficult. I have friends who come for masters. They try to learn German, but it's kind of difficult to get hold of it. You That being said, it does not mean it's impossible or like extremely difficult. If you are very dedicated, if you really don't show the apprehension that, "Oh, I don't know, should I do it, should I not do it," if you really take a clear stance that yes, I have to do it, I need to do it, and you do disciplined classes, you do classes probably on the weekend, you can learn it very fast because you are inside Germany, everything is in German. You're going to learn the language much faster. In 6 months time you will catch up on the language very well, but of course you would have to dedicate time, and it is not going to be easy to be in that kind of discipline for a long time. That's what I think. But with bachelors, it's much easier. Like for me, when I started my bachelors, our university dedicated time, like one of the subjects that we had to take in the first year. So my bachelor started with English. The first year was English, and the university taught us German as part of the curriculum for the first 2 semesters. For some people who did not know any German, 3 semesters. And by the end of it, everybody I knew was, by the end of the bachelor's, was proficient in German. Proficient as in they could get a job, they could do a presentation, they could write reports, they could talk, everything.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
really nice. That's so
Yeah.
awesome. Because if you are living here in Germany, learning German is really crucial and important, because all the paperwork,
Yeah.
for example, contracts, employment contracts, apartment contracts, etc., are everything in German language, and it's really difficult.
Yeah.
And
It's actually very interesting because I was thinking about this the other time, that why is it that in Germany there is so much focus on German? Sorry?
no, you were saying something.
Yeah, I thought I got lost, but yeah. So in Germany, the language, there is a big focus on the language, so much so that it sometimes feel like forced, and it is because historical reason. Germany was like small kingdoms or places. These parts were not Germany back in the day, and Germany is relatively newly formed country in that sense. And all these parts came together because they spoke the same language. And after the World War, there was a lot of effort to kind of preserve the German language. So the German language is really a central part of the German identity. German people really preserve their language, and they really feel connected with the language. It's not like countries like Norway or Netherlands, which are much more globalized. People don't feel threatened if they have to talk in English. But whereas German people draw a clear line between insiders and outsiders in terms of who speaks their language and who doesn't speak their language. And it's both controversial. I think you could take a look at it both ways, the way you want to look at it. Uh, but that being said, the language does make a great difference in your life in Germany.
True.
Yeah.
So then, yeah, you already answered here roughly. So this question was about if I have to recommend someone who is coming from India or Pakistan, what should they first do? Whether they do bachelor's in their home country and then pursue master here in Germany, or should they directly
Yeah,
come
it
for?
depends. Both options are good.
Yeah.
Like coming in bachelor's is obviously will be.
True. Yeah, what I conclude from your conversation is that if they have ample time,
Yeah.
for example, they can say, yeah, I can afford, let's say, 6 to 7 years for bachelor's, and then it's okay for me to pursue master, because typically it's 4 years for bachelor's, so it will take some time if you are still learning German. So do you think that if they are still coming here for bachelor's and doing it in German, they can still
I
complete
don't
in
think so.
four
That's
years?
like the case. I took how much time did my bachelor's was 7 semesters, so 3.5 years, and I took one more extra semester.
Oh, nice. Even with German?
Yeah. Yes, because of course it was from third semester onward, it was German, and I can tell you from my experience that it was very shocking. First class that I attended that was in German, it was both fascinating because some classes I couldn't understand anything. It took some time to. That is when your challenge actually starts. Because the first year, for example, for me was English, so it was not a challenge at all. But from third semester or second year, it started becoming challenging because I had to. Now there was this German aspect, and there was this course content. So I, instead of taking 6 subjects per semester, I started taking 4 or sometimes 5. But I think as in bachelors you have more. It's just the human tendency. You have more dedication. You have more like energy. The more you can do better, you can do more. But when you're in masters, you just have multiple things on your mind overall in general, in terms of handling your life. Not saying that in bachelors you don't do a lot of things, but I think like just having the pressure, just being young, just being, just coming on early and not having the pressure, it really helps you to integrate easily. So if you want to integrate, of course, coming early is the better option, and that is why I would say bachelor's is the better option. But if you want to, for example, not struggle with that during your bachelor's, you want to take some time to figure out, you want to perhaps, because it is going to be a shock, it is going to be a culture shock coming in younger years, directly from home, out of your family's like um, nice space and whatever, and then coming to do your bachelor's here, it will be a shock in terms of managing a lot of things on your own and all of those things in a foreign country, getting used to the norms and everything. And that's why you can feel homesick at times, I think. It can be very difficult. So that is the challenge during the bachelor's. And if you come in the masters, then the language part is the challenge. So both the phases have different challenges. It's up to you what challenge you fits you better and you can handle better. It is my opinion.
Mm-hmm. Oh, nice. That was a nice perspective. Actually, for me,
Yeah.
because I haven't done bachelor, so and also considering the time, I was not aware that even if you are doing bachelor's in German, it was pretty fast. Like for you, you completed it almost in time. So if that is the case, then I would highly recommend doing bachelor's first and then master's. um, yeah, so this way actually you have also a grip on German language as well, which is a really plus in overall
Yeah.
living in Germany. So yeah, nice.
Well, I can give you a rough. This was me like doing almost in time, but it was not just me. I can tell you about, because there were other friends and all the people. In general, you don't finish 100% on time unless and until you have sleepless nights and you are like working like crazy. If you don't want to do that, just take one more extra semester or even 2 semesters more. People finish with taking three like maximum that people go up, I think, is like taking 4 more semesters. That would be like 2 more years, but that is the extreme. I think everybody who is working regularly does not have some emergency or anything situation like that, or I would say you could assume 1 extra semester to 2 extra semesters should be doable for you. Extreme cases, 3 semesters more or 4.
Nice. Good to know.
Yeah, that's my thing.
Mm-hmm. Good to know. So then comes, so Hochschule versus TU. So maybe first we can explain to the audience what is the difference between Hochschule versus TU. So when you are applying for German universities, you always, so when I was applying for German universities, I was just searching for master's degree. I was not aware that okay, this is actually a thing, TU versus Hochschule. And there is a, you can say, in my mind, oh, top TU9 universities, and then I should always go for top TU9.
Yeah.
And there is no such thing, to be honest, in Germany, like the way we have in our home country. Top schools or whatever, all schools are equal. And the biggest
Yeah.
difference between, please correct me, Sahil, if I am wrong, Hochschule versus TU is that TU is more research oriented versus Hochschule is more applied. So you are more close to industry when you are pursuing anything with Hochschule, But
Mm-hmm.
if you are doing a TU, like say TUM, TU Darmstadt or TU Ilmenau or whatever, you are actually focusing more on research, but you will not be close to industry. So you may write research papers a lot. Actually, I did I write two research papers or something, but that doesn't matter. So uh, yeah, this is my understanding. And what I also learned, people who are doing degrees from TU, especially my German colleagues, which
Yeah.
I will talk later about it. So you are mostly journalizing concepts. So you are actually thinking in directly in journalized way rather than a specific concept. So this, I don't know, it's particularly me, but that's how I saw it. The biggest advantage um, mm, of doing degree from TU. I'm not saying that either of you can pursue either way, both are equally depending on your interest, but if you are coming here, I would highly recommend uh, to search these terms and have an opinion where would you like to go. This is really an important decision in my opinion. So if you would like to add something to it, Sahil, please.
Yeah, absolutely. This is correct that the Hochschule is more practice oriented. So and the university or the technical university, if you're coming for a technical course, is more research oriented. And this is a clear schooling like education system in Germany, which is not probably exactly like this in other countries, where there is this division in terms of Hochschule, or earlier it was known as Fachhochschule, which is Fach means the subject, or like doing the act of the subject, like practicing the subject. So I would suggest, what I could say, I won't make a suggestion, of course. I would, depends on you. But as Anas pointed out, that if you're more research oriented, if you're somebody who wants to do a PhD, if you're somebody who enjoys yeah, scientific papers, and wants to pursue a career in the research, the university is definitely where you should go. It's your go-to place, um, and you will feel very fulfilled there. But if you're somebody who enjoys working in a company, working on projects, um, yeah, then you should go for the Hochschule. By far, much better option to go for that. Never go for anything like Manas also said, the TU9 concept. It's it's a useless concept, because um, if you want to work, you are going to just spend extra time in a technical university trying to finish your masters, because research oriented masters will make you do some research oriented stuff, which will take you more time. Whereas the basic difference in terms of like quantifying this difference would be, a Hochschule is a master with a Hochschule, a pure like practice oriented masters is 90 credits, whereas at a technical university, the masters is 120 credits. So you save 30 credits. You don't need to do those extra 30 credits at all, right? So that's at least saving you, if you are doing everything in time, that's saving you one semester. If you're a bit slow, then it is saving you at least 1 year of effort. And this really helps you a lot. On top of that, in a Hochschule, you will be, let's say, because me and Anas both are software engineers, so at a Hochschule, if you're also somebody like that, you will be coding a lot. You would be practicing a lot of coding from day one, building a lot of projects, and this will just, in general, make you, you know, more practiced in getting started at a company. It's much more attractive to a company. Most of the times when I meet people in workplaces, uh, there is, I think, of course, there are people from the universities, but there are more people from technical, from Hochschule, that are working in the companies. Um, and this it's absolutely there, but there is indeed an advantage to the technical university. So after I said already that there is this practice or job oriented focus of the Hochschule which you should go for, because it will help you finish your masters faster, it will help you land a job faster. But there is an advantage of the technical university for yourself. Generally, if you go to a university later on to rise in a company, let's say you go to a company, in the beginning you don't have this practical knowledge, so you will be spending some time learning, so you will be in a junior position for a longer time. But once you clear that, because you have engaged with concepts on a much theoretical level, you will be very good when it comes to design concepts, or like making more generalistic decisions, taking your knowledge from one area and applying it to other areas, having a much broader knowledge about your field of study. So this helps you. This is like a bamboo shoot. You water it first it doesn't rise, and then it just rises a lot. So there is this late bloomer advantage of studying at a university, where in the beginning you will have some time to learn and adapt to a company, maybe also like do some projects on your own or try to get a job on your own, and then get into a company. And then after that, your theoretical knowledge really comes to help you. But this is a personal choice. Maybe later on, after getting into a company, you can develop this theoretical knowledge. But yeah, if you're somebody, you wanna get a job, go to the Hochschule.
Mm-hmm.
That's my experience.
Mm-hmm.
What did you say, Anas? Like, do you agree with this, or what was your experience from like coming from the university?
Yeah, so the last point which you mentioned, that there is a big difference if you are from TU versus Hochschule, that I agree. So that's actually my follow-up point. Is it worth studying? So I would like to cover this in this part. It actually depends.
Like, is it generally, you mean, like, is it worth studying, or what do you mean?
Yeah. So, okay, I can first give the context how
Yeah.
we, Indian or Pakistani, see studies. So I don't know about you, but when I pursue higher education, to be honest, I literally wanted to have just degree. But when I
Yeah.
came here, then the things were different, and I feel like maybe I wasted my time, to be honest, because the way I should have
Okay,
studied.
so yeah, I agree with this as well.
So,
And this is something
it's actually debatable.
personal.
So I agree with you that this TU actually um, explains you things in a more generic concepts, like they actually explain you in equations and in theorem, so it's more general. But then you have to apply those concepts on specialized things, and this is really awesome, and it really helps you if you are literally studying that way. And that's how
Yeah.
I see at least some of my colleagues, and they are really pro, and I am not at that level yet. So what we do, at least what I see in my friend circle, or what I'm not actually it's not a negative thing or something, but usually we try to complete our degree as fast as possible because we have some other responsibilities, supporting a family or whatever. This is a completely separate topic, I don't want to go into this. But if you literally wanted to study like the way Germans are doing, I'm not generalizing it, but they are really I have seen a few people who are really investing time in studying, and then there is a worth, and they really have a return over there. So that's why I'm not sure mostly our people are coming here just for the sake of degree. At least that's my understanding. So
Yeah.
if this is the mindset, that's why I phrased it, is it really worth studying? So I, as I mentioned, I feel like, so during my master studies there was one course which I really enjoyed a lot. It was related to program testing, and for that particular course I have to study a complete semester, and I really enjoyed it. But imagine I have to complete my 120 credit points, and if I would have chosen this subject to complete my 120 point, it would have taken me a long time to complete my master's studies. So this is something I don't know. So it I don't want to go into the details of those subjects, but it was more practical. You are learning theory and you are also applying it on the fly, on the
Yeah.
project, and you also have to write
Yeah.
theoretical papers, etc. And final exam weightage is very low compared to the whole progress. So the professor literally want you to actually study throughout the year, and final paper was also a open book, which means you are allowed to carry everything with you, but it's just a one line answer. And if you are writing a lot, you are doing something crazy. 60 minutes, 60 questions, boom. So that was so awesome that I really loved it, I enjoyed it. But if you are really studying this way, it would take a really, really long time. So I was not a person who would like to invest time like this. So for me, I feel like, I'm not sure, I feel like I might have wasted time, but yeah, this was just an experience. So what's your take here?
Yeah, I mean, technically, it's a big question. Is it worth studying? And it's about mindset. I completely agree to you, and I can answer this in the best way because I I did my bachelor's, and I did my bachelor's in a subject called automation technology, which is like a specialization in electrical engineering. And I was very good at my bachelor's. I did it in almost time. I got really good grades. I mean, I think in my batch I was first or the second to in terms of grades. But at the end of it, I felt like I was not ready for the industry. I felt like if I were to go find a job, I would struggle. And this is where I realized when doing my masters that okay, I need to focus on the practical aspects. I need to take this responsibility of teaching me things myself, so I can so I need this awareness of the industry on my own. And this is the German education system in general. So you can choose to, like, no matter what you do, you cannot completely, like, trust. You cannot. I, th- I think in our countries we have a very we have a relationship with the school or the institution that as long as I am doing good, I am putting in my effort, the institution will guide me. And this is something, for example, in India we have campus placement. So if you are a good student, you just do your thing. People don't really do any internships, and even if there are internships, they're like 3 weeks. I don't even know what you learn in 3 weeks at working at any place. So you sit into the campus interview, you eventually get a job as long as you were good enough in terms of your marks, and then you're learning in terms of how to work, how to apply your knowledge. It starts from there. This is the Indian education system. It is by far a very bad system, I think. And coming from India, I kind of carried these ideas also to Germany. So I was like in my bachelor's, I was I could have. I had a lot more time to learn a lot of programming, just expand out of curiosity, a lot of subjects. Um, I was very good in my subjects, as I said, and I was dedicating my time to learning those subjects. So today I'm not doing any of what I learned in my bachelor's. So was it worth studying those things? Yeah, probably not. Probably not. Those are not the things that are helping me today. Maybe in some way, because I learned like scientific thinking, I learned maths, which will help you anyways in any uh, engineering related field. And these things will carry on in everything. Even if you do something non-technical, I think knowing maths and reasoning and these things will always help you. then when it came to my masters, as Anas also mentioned, it was more fun when I was working and what I was learning. I could align those things. I could choose my, so I chose my subjects much smarter. I was like, okay, this is what I have interest in, I'll take this subject. So during your masters, this is also a thing, you have more choice, which you don't have during your bachelors. You are given a plan and you must do it. And whether you should study or not, I think coming from outside Germany, you will have to eventually, because that is your gateway to get into Germany. How else would you come? I mean, you could apply for a job directly if you have 5 to 10 years of awesome experience. And this is what I also see sometimes with Indian employees and stuff. They just come directly for it, but they have like a great work experience and background working at some top corporate back in India, and Germany needs a lot of workers, so they hire you. And in those cases, you don't even probably need a language. You get hired with a very high salary anyway. So this is like extreme. Like this is maybe the 1% or 5% or whatever. Who knows? A small fraction of people. So you could come without studying, but the most other people would need to take a degree. And I would say if your dream is to work, don't take a degree which is going to cost you a lot of time. Take a degree which is 90 credits, so a Hochschule, and invest your time to learn on your own, do market research on your own, find out what is required in the industry at that moment, learn those skills, and this should be independent of your degree, more or less. Because if you depend on your degree to give you skills for the industry, this might or might not work. Because sometimes the curriculums that universities have, they design every 4 or 5 years or something, and they can be very old by the time they adapt to the industry. And after, like, already the industry has been changing very fast, and now with AI, it's unpredictable. Even the companies don't know, universities don't know, nobody knows what's going to happen tomorrow. So it's really up to you and only you to upgrade yourself and upskill yourself for the job market, and design the way you learn. And this is the best time to do that, because all kinds of information, all kinds of learning material is out there and mostly free. And getting a degree is useless in terms of a job today, but this is your gateway to getting into Germany. So yeah, you must do it anyway. This is my take on this.
Yeah, nice. So then comes the last question. So for example, what I really, as I also mentioned in the very beginning, the second reason for choosing Germany is this student job where you can actually work programming specific jobs, and you work there like a full-time employee, but you are not working full-time, but I believe 80 hours per month, or I don't know, how is it? Okay.
Yes.
So
20 hours a week.
So I really love this concept. I don't know why it's not in our home country. And what I really don't like in our home country is that in the final year, when we are almost completing our bachelors, we from third year we started searching for internship, and we are going for different companies, and I am still not able to understand why companies don't utilize the potential of youngsters. There are some companies who are not even paying for interns in our home country, so but people are working there for free, and they are just wasting their time. It's a long time. I don't know what's the current situation now. So we were mainly doing data entry jobs, for example, and just wasting our time. So I don't understand why company can't utilize the potential. And what I see completely difference here, like we are,
it's a big question.
Yeah, exactly. So here we are working as a student, and we are doing the same task which can be paid per hour, I don't know, by a full-time employee, I don't know, at a very high cost, and they are fully utilizing those at a. So when I was a student, the per hour charges was between 10 euros to 16 euros depending on the company. So you can get, and I was just working 2 days per week, So that was
Yeah.
sufficient for me, and on rest of the week I was studying. So my only goal was to complete master as fast as possible. So yeah, I find this concept really awesome, and here companies are really utilizing it. And especially if you are doing internship, you will really learn a lot. For example, recently
Yeah.
in our company we also have an intern, and we've completely designed a full infrastructure for CI/CD pipeline regarding GitHub, which by using self-hosted runners, and it was so awesome. I really love it, that how the companies are utilizing those potential, and they are not just wasting their time as well as the people's time who are. So this is something, I don't know, I should say industries in Pakistan or in my home country should learn if they are not doing this. So this is a sad part, and I love this in Germany. I don't know how is it in India. What's your take?
Yeah, same. I mean, in India, things are changing rapidly. There are big companies, there are small companies. But as far as internships are concerned, I would say there is a lot of exploitation because you get hired, you get internships. And first, as I already mentioned, they're very short-lived internships, so 3 weeks, 4 weeks sometimes. And I don't understand what you really learn in a
Mm-hmm.
company in that much time. And you don't get paid, so they are unpaid internships. But this is again a supply and demand thing, because if you demand for money, there is going to be somebody else who is gonna do it. And yeah, so that's there. um, it's a very different scenario. But in Germany, there are student jobs, and this is in fact something you can't live in Germany without, as somebody who is, because most people in Germany are not taking money from their parents. Everybody is supposed to be independent from like the age of 18, and so you must look after yourself. And how best to do that than to find part-time jobs? And the best form of part-time jobs are student jobs. And I can say for this that, like, to find a student job for everybody, with experience, without experience, is kind of easy. If you're with experience, of course you'll easily get a job. But if you're without experience, as in my case I started with working at the university. That's the lowest threshold you can find for getting a job. And you will learn something there, and then you can use that to get jobs in companies where you will learn more.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, as Anas already mentioned, that there is a lot to learn as an intern. I mean, it's actually promoted because it's two things, right? One, you are contributing already in some way to the company. Second, the company is training you to use you as a future employee if you are good for that company. And in my opinion, it's the best part time of your life, honestly, because you are working, as Anas said, 2 to 3 days a week. The rest of the time you can study, you can meet friends, you can do a lot of things. You have a lot of free time while getting money, which you will not have again when you are a full-time employee. You will only get the weekend more or less for yourself. So this is a great time in your life. Please do a student job, and in your field try to find one. Yeah.
Awesome. So yeah, that was it for education part. I think we have covered really detailed one. I I was not hoping that long discussion, but
That's
that's
good.
totally fine. So now comes so when we complete the studies, then you have recently completed the studies. So and I have completed, I don't know, quite some time ago. Then people usually start finding jobs. So
Mm-hmm.
I was quite fortunate that I directly got a job where I did my student job. So,
Mm-hmm.
typical question people usually ask me is, how are the job opportunities with and without German language? Let's say if a person does not know German language at all, and I am
Yeah.
talking about software engineering professionals and not.
Mm-hmm.
So my podcast is mainly about software engineers. I don't know about mechanical engineer, electrical engineer whatsoever. So I am talking about our
Yeah.
field, so that it's more we are saying from our experience. So what do you think? How difficult would it be to get a job if you know German, if you don't know German? And yeah, maybe
Yeah, I mean,
you
I would
can.
like to before I give my points on that, I would like to know your experience on like what do you think about this topic?
Um, I feel it it really matters. German language is really important. So I
Mm-hmm.
think it drastically increase the job opportunities if you know German. Also, where you are living in Germany, this is also important. If you are in Berlin or Munich, maybe
Yeah.
they are international, so you may not find that challenges over there
Mm-hmm.
while finding job opportunities. But you are living in an
Mm-hmm.
area where those are not that international. Maybe Frankfurt is also something which can consider English speaking, but if you are living in Heidelberg, or let's say, I don't know, Regensburg, or I don't know, some cities where there are no international exposure, international market, then
Yeah.
knowing German is a must. And you may get rejections directly because you don't know German. So the culture in Germany is really so. In our home country, we have a culture that we are working as well as we are also doing fun. So I'm not saying that it's not completely true here. You can also have fun, but it's a bit different that during the work time, it's really the work time, and it's full concentration, and everybody is fully concentrated. um, this is something, and this means that everybody is focused, and everybody in meetings can will only speak German. So yeah, then it will get challenging for you if you don't speak German. And it's also, you are integrated with the company culture or not. So this is also really important aspect here, that you are getting integrated within the company's culture. That's actually my experience, my perspective so far. Although I haven't switched that much, but I did at least 2 jobs in Germany. One is really a long one. So yeah, that's what I learned. But what about you, Sahil? Because I think you did heavy as well as worked with my company, and even with my company you are switching between the teams, so you have more experience in terms of in this area, I think.
Yeah. So like, of course, starting from my bachelor's, the first job that I did was at the university, which was, yeah. But let's skip that. So the first company where I worked was Texas Instruments, which is an English-speaking company, which is an American company. So in there, everybody talked in English. Yes, people talked in German with each other, but the language of the company was English, and you did not really, per se, require to speak German to get into the company. Then, this is the case, I think, with most big companies, that you don't really require, per se, German to get into the company in all big international companies. But, but as I have mentioned, German is part of the German society. So depending on the team, whether the team at some point decided when the team was formed. So let's say you are joining a company in a team which was formed in early 2000s, right? So, or it has employees, it has older employees, or let's say people who are used to working in German. Then it is, then they look for an employee who speaks German. So if the team where you are applying to already uses German for their internal communication, does not matter if the coding is in English, the documentation is in English, the company level meetings are in English, but if the established language is German, then they will expect you to talk in German, right? So yes, German is like lets you have more jobs, as Anas already said about like Berlin, I would say you would find it much easier. People don't really focus so much on the language in Berlin. Maybe Munich, but again, Munich also has like really big companies, also American companies, so maybe that's the reason. But everywhere else, German does play a role. So you find English-speaking employees in companies all the time, but I think it makes a difference. If you speak the language, you have more jobs at hand. And this is just big companies. Smaller companies depend again. Smaller companies, if they're like startup kind of companies, even then it depends. It really depends on the company. But yes, knowing the language at least lets you have opportunities. It doubles your opportunities if it not triples. You know, it really increases your opportunities.
Yeah, I completely agree there.
Yeah.
Okay, so then comes work-life balance. So what do you think? Uh, so a random guy on LinkedIn wrote me, "Hey, how's the work-life balance in Germany?" And I was like, "Okay, how do you define a work-life balance?" So I I'm not sure. Um, I feel like after COVID and after this, the race of AI, it feels like work-life balance is just an illusion, and there is no work-life balance at all. You need to integrate it somehow, and I will come to the point already later. I feel like these days relying on a single job is really challenging. So how do you define a work-life balance then? The thing is, every now and then if you scroll LinkedIn, you will always see a person or a guy or a lady saying, "Hey, I have been laid off." So it's so difficult, and the job market is so challenging and competent that I can't answer this question. It's completely personal, and relying on a single job means that you are putting all your eggs in a single bucket. So I don't know. What's your take here?
I mean, I understand the question a bit differently, but you are right that in the current age, uncertainty, unpredictability is a lot. It's everywhere. It's not just in small companies or big companies or German companies or American companies, it is everywhere. You don't know what AI will be able to do tomorrow. But again, what we have learned in in the last 2 years since ChatGPT first version got released is that whatever AI is doing is always will be substandard. I mean, not always. The expected productivity from you is slightly like higher because you should be aware of these tools. You should be able to use these tools, and you should be able to apply these tools to do your job. So because it's unpredictable, just keep doing what you're doing and be good at it. It's even more important than ever to be really good at what you do rather than just doing it as a job, as a mediocre thing. So mediocrity is going to get kicked out very soon, and mediocrity will be replaced by AI. And really passionate developers, really like knowledgeable developers, are the ones who are going to be still there. That being said, work-life balance for me is more about how much work you carry into your day-to-day life. And Anas is right. If you are stressed about your job security, then you're not going to have this work-life balance. But compared to, there are two extremes, or not extremes. Let's lay out. So there's countries like India and Pakistan, which are the third world countries where practically there is no work life balance. You can be called on a Saturday, a Sunday, you have to deliver something. You can expect a call from your boss at any time. There are long hours of work. There is more control from the corporate or the company over you. And there is also a bit of, I mean, let's not go there, but there is the culture can also sometimes feel like a bit of a grind. Um, but then there is the other side, which is the US, where you can get fired at any point. So getting fired and finding a job is very easy in US. It's so both the things are very possible in the US, and people deal with it very differently. The US is very different. So I think comparing to a country like US, where literally you can get fired today and then tomorrow you're looking for a job, countries like Germany, you are not going to get fired that easily. So um, you would still, it is still like, it's getting slightly worse, as Anas is saying, that because of AI there is unpredictability, but still, like, you will still have, it's still better. Like, I see my colleagues, like, I just started working full time, but we know our colleagues. To Anas knows, there is a lot of flexibility to work from home, for example. um, there is a lot of flexibility to pick up your kids in the middle of the day, come back. um, Managing your personal life with your corporate life, it's much easier. Then there is no, like, strict, there is more flexibility. Basically, there's no strict division of your working hours versus what you can do during the day, and there is more trust based working hours.
I see.
Yeah.
So then comes, yeah, we already discussed this point as well, current market situation. So yeah, I think within this work-life balance, we already covered the other 2 points as well.
Yeah.
So then comes the final thought or
I mean,
conclusion.
we could say a couple of things about the current market situation, to be
Sure,
honest.
sure, please.
I could say, like, so around COVID, there were more jobs. The job market, just the German economy in general, has made it a little bit harder to find a job first. So second, there are still jobs for developers. It's not as bad for other fields. German language plays a key role uh, to accessibility to jobs. And third, uh, yeah, so if somebody wants to find a job, there are two things they can prioritize. Either they focus on German language, then it's a good way to find a job. Other thing is really upskill yourself. Either you sell yourself because you can speak German and you can fit into a company easily and learn things there, or you are so skilled that you have so much experience and you have so much, like, expertise, that the company cannot just look away from that. Because if you are somebody who does not speak German and you're applying for a job, and somebody else who's also speaking German is applying to that job, you need to be at least, I don't know, 1.5 times better than that person. This is my this is my experience from my current job search experience. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really nice because you are completely fresh with this situation, because you
Yeah.
recently got a job. So that's so nice, awesome. Okay, so then final thought actually. So here I would like to ask you, um, what advice would you give to yourself, um, let's say if you have to start again over, let's say bachelor's
Oh,
or master's.
yes,
So
of
if
course.
you if you
I think I
so
would
in
just,
this,
if I was younger, I would just tell myself to,
no, my question is, in this whole 8 years, or I don't know, 7 years,
mhm.
there are lots of things where you have made mistakes, or maybe you have regrets, or I don't know, something.
Yeah,
And you you may think that, okay, if I would aware of this, I would have done this, and I can do
yeah.
this much better than what I am right now. So what are those things? What's the
It's also
uh,
a bit
con-
personal, like, what depends on person to person. I think, as I've already mentioned this, I was too dependent on my university. I was a good student, and I was like, as long as I'm a good student, sorry.
yeah, I can hear you.
So I thought, as long as I'm a good student, I will be ready for that. So I did not know how to prepare myself for the industry, and that's where I wasted a lot of time. during my bachelor's. I had a lot of time in my bachelor's where I could have upskilled myself, where I could have taught me things that were relevant. And this is my only advice or learning, that never depend outside, never depend for guidance on outside things to guide you. Seek guidance and try to like acquire knowledge, especially in today's day and age where all the information is out there. You can find YouTubers, you can find blogs, you can find courses, you can find everything. And you also have access to the current job situation. Go on LinkedIn jobs, go on Indeed, go on Stepstone, whatever is there, wherever you are in the world, and look at the jobs or the positions that are available, which are relevant to your field, what kind of skills are needed. Start there, and you will find that your entire job searching process will become much, much easier. Because what ends up happening is that we start looking for a job, and that's when we realize what we need, what we need to know. And that it's a reverse process that we do, but we do it much later. So that's my only advice, like to make your life easier, start early. Yeah.
Thanks. So, for me, I would say there were two things which I really, I would say, kind of a regret. So, if I already mentioned, I feel like I made a mistake because I did my master's. So, maybe I would not have done this, or if I have done this, then I would have focused more on really learning it right way. This was one thing. Uh, Another thing was during this whole 5 years or 6 years, our education system does not uh, teach us investment. So I just put my money in bank account and never invested it, and they just got how you call it, devalued over time.
Yeah.
So this is something I got awareness after listening to Sandeep Maheshwari podcast. I am extremely thankful to that guy. I really listen to those podcasts religiously, I would say. So
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of him and Dr. Vikas. I don't know the full name, but yeah, those two guys are really awesome.
Are you
So
talking about Dr. Vikas, who's the IAS like
exactly. But those
okay.
podcasts are really
Also
awesome.
in the
So
movie 12th Fail.
yeah, I love both of
Did you watch
these.
the movie 12th Fail?
No.
You
So
should watch it. You would like it probably.
okay. So yeah, investment, I would say. Another thing which I may feel like, um, it's a balance between doing a job versus building your own business. So I think it's common also in Pakistan as well. If you are doing your own business, you will be making a lot of money versus when you are doing your own, just doing a job. So
Yeah, that's
when
true.
you are a student,
Absolutely.
if you have the capacity, you can build clients for yourself, and this way the potential of earning money over there could be way higher than what you earn in the job. So these are the three things which I could say I really would have invested time there. um, that's I think yeah, I we could still do this now as well. Yeah, but these are three things which was my conclusion throughout the 7 years. Yeah, so that's it. So Sahil, thank you so much for your time. Actually, I really enjoyed this podcast. I hope people like it, and it doesn't matter. So at least we have learned from each other. Yeah, thank you so much
Definitely.
for your time.
Thank you so much for having me here.